Does the Quran know the future? There are dozens of prophecies fulfilled. Yes, it is true, but how? It is quite astonishing. There is a great deep dive which really shocked me. Let's listen to that.
Can a book truly transcend time? I mean, actually predict events that, well, by all logic, seem utterly impossible?
It's a fundamental question, isn't it? Humans have always been fascinated by the future.
Absolutely. And today, we're diving deep into something that touches on exactly that.
Right. We're going to explore what the source material calls the miraculousness of the Quran in precisely this way. We'll focus on two key historical moments where prophecies were apparently fulfilled against just enormous odds.
Yeah, defying everything expected at the time. So our mission for you today is to really unpack these stories. We'll look at the history around them, the context, and pull out those surprising details from the sources that make them so, well, compelling.
We'll be using historical texts, specific excerpts, to see how these predictions supposedly just turned all balances upside down.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack this. So first story, set the scene. The year is 6023 CE.
Right.
You've got these two absolute giants, superpowers of their time, locked in this brutal, brutal conflict.
The Sassanid Empire and the Byzantine Empire. And at this point, the Sassanids are just winning everything. Overwhelming victories.
It sounded like the Byzantines were really on the ropes.
Oh, completely. Catastrophic decline. They were losing huge areas. Armenia, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, all of Anatolia. It was staggering.
Wow.
I mean, the Sassanids had pushed them back so far, their armies were right near Istanbul, the Byzantine capital.
Right up to the capital itself.
Yeah, and Istanbul was also being besieged by Avars and Slavs from another direction. It was a truly dire situation for Byzantium.
Okay, so total collapse seems imminent. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You mentioned, by 616 CE, news of these, crushing Byzantine defeats gets back to Mecca. And the polytheists there, the idol worshippers, they start celebrating. Why? Why are they celebrating this?
Well, it's about religious alignment or perceived alignment. The Byzantines were Christians.
I apologize for interrupting the deep dive. Are you or someone you know struggling to land a job? Check out the ATS Resume Optimizer. I created this tool myself, and for just $5 a month, you get unlimited tailored resumes, mock interview prep, and a resume health score to boost your chances. Transform your job search today. Link in the description. Let's get back to the deep dive.
Alignment, the Byzantines were Christians.
People of the book and Abrahamic faith.
Exactly. So in a way, closer to the Muslims who were just starting out. The Sassanids, though, were Zoroastrians. And the Meccan polytheists felt their own beliefs were sort of closer to the Sassanids. So they saw the Sassanid victory as, well, a win for their side, conceptually.
I see. So they used it to taunt the early Muslims.
Precisely. They were basically saying, look, the Sassanids beat your guys, the people of the book, we're going to beat you too.
Okay, so imagine this scene. They're celebrating, they're mocking, and
then the first 5 verses of Surah Ar-Rum are revealed from the Quran.
And what did they say?
News that must have just stopped them in their tracks. It said, the Romans have been defeated in a nearby land. Okay, acknowledging the defeat.
Right.
Yet following their defeat, they will triumph within 3 to 9 years.
3 to 9 years. That's incredibly specific.
Extremely specific. It goes on. The whole matter rests with Allah before and after victory, and on that day the believers will rejoice at the victory willed by Allah. He gives victory to whoever He wills, for He is the Almighty, most merciful.
So a direct prediction of a complete reversal of fortunes within a specific time frame.
Exactly. And this was proclaimed when the Byzantine Empire was facing, historical accounts use terms like unprecedented and catastrophic losses.
It sounds completely illogical from a human perspective at that moment.
Utterly impossible, you'd think. Victory. Within that short time frame, it seemed absurd.
So for Prophet Muhammad to announce this,
he was putting, as the sources say, his entire message, his whole mission at such a big risk if this didn't happen.
Huge implications.
Yeah.
And what about the Byzantine emperor himself, Heraclius?
Yeah.
You mentioned he was desperate.
Right. The sources paint a picture of near hopelessness. Heraclius had just taken the throne in a coup, coming in from Africa where he was governor.
Not exactly starting from a position of strength.
Not at all. He was so desperate he initially wrote letters basically begging the Sassanid king to stop the war.
And the response?
Rejected, flat out. He even apparently tried to flee Constantinople with the imperial treasury, but was caught by the people.
Wow. So a defeated empire, a desperate emperor, and this prophecy says victory in, what was the phrase, a few years?
bidi sinin in Arabic, which specifically meant, in that context, 3 to 9 years.
So the Meccans must have been thinking, no chance, this is impossible.
Absolutely confident it would fail. But then, something changes in Heraclius.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The famous historian Edward Gibbon, writing much later, of course, noted that the change in Heraclius' character around this time, well, he said it has not many examples in history.
A radical transformation.
A complete turnaround in his leadership and resolve. The source material we're looking at directly attributes this shift, this newfound strength, to, well, the divine promise kicking in.
So what happened on the battlefield?
Well, Heraclius launched a counter-campaign in 622 CE. And against all expectations.
Don't tell me.
The Byzantine army started winning, and winning decisively. They pushed the Sassanids back, reclaimed those lost territories.
Anatolia, Syria, Egypt.
They regained huge amounts of ground. They turned total defeat into victory. And crucially, this victory was solidified well within that 3 to 9 year window mentioned.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But what about the other part of the verse? And on that day, the believers will rejoice.
Ah, good point. Well, the sources connect this to another event. In 624 CE, still within that prophetic window, the Battle of Badr happened.
The key battle between the early Muslims and the Meccans.
Exactly. And the Muslims, despite being hugely outnumbered, maybe 3 to 1, and poorly equipped, they won a major victory.
So in 624 CE.
The Muslims were rejoicing because of their own victory at Badr, and they were seeing the simultaneous fulfillment of the prophecy about the Romans turning the tide against the Sassanids, a double cause for joy.
That's quite a convergence.
It really is. And it gets even more stark when you consider the state the Byzantine army was reportedly in just before this turnaround.
What do the historians say?
Well, Byzantine historian Theophanes, and more recently Susan Weisbauer cites this too, they describe the army around the time Heraclius took over as having no experienced soldiers.
Experience.
They were described as untrained, lazy, without military equipment and combat experience.
So how does an army like that suddenly achieve such a massive victory against a superpower?
That's the question the sources pose, suggesting it defies conventional explanation. It makes the turnaround seem even more, well, miraculous.
Okay, that's a powerful first account. Let's move forward in time now to the second prophecy you mentioned.
Right. This takes place in the 6th year after the Hijra, the Prophet's migration from Mecca to Medina.
So around 628 CE, what happened?
Prophet Muhammad had a dream. And dreams of prophets in this tradition are considered a form of revelation.
Okay, so not just a regular dream.
No, something that signified an event that had to happen. In the dream, he saw himself and his companions visiting the Kaaba in Mecca, performing the rituals.
But Mecca was still controlled by the polytheists then, right? His opponents.
Correct. So the companions were, understandably, overjoyed at the thought. They'd been exiled from their home city for 6 years.
Must have been incredibly poignant.
Absolutely. But they wanted to make it clear this wasn't an attack. So they decided to go unarmed, planning only to perform the Umrah, the lesser pilgrimage.
Just pilgrims.
Just pilgrims. They only took the knives needed for the ritual sacrifice.
So they undertake this long journey.
Yes, and they camp near Mecca at a place called Hudaibiyah.
Okay.
The Meccans hear they're nearby, and they send an envoy, Suhail ibn Amr, to negotiate. They don't want them entering Mecca.
Understandable from their perspective, perhaps.
Right.
But this leads to a treaty.
It does, the Treaty of Hudaibiyah. But the terms, well, on the surface, they looked absolutely terrible for the Muslims. Humiliating, even.
How so? What were the terms?
Well, the negotiation itself set the tone. Suhail, the Meccan negotiator, refused to even let the preamble say, Muhammad, the messenger of Allah.
Really? What did he insist on?
Just Muhammad, son of Abdullah. He wouldn't acknowledge the prophethood in the treaty.
How did the prophet react?
He agreed to change it. He asked Ali, his scribe, to erase messenger of Allah. Ali felt such reverence he couldn't bring himself to do it. So the prophet asked where the words were and erased them himself.
Wow. That's quite a concession right at the start.
It showed how much the Meccans wanted to dictate terms, and the terms themselves were tough.
Like what?
First, Muslims couldn't enter Mecca for Umrah that year. They had to go back home.
After coming all that way?
After coming all that way. They could come back the next year, but only stay for 3 days.
Okay. That seems restrictive.
Hmm.
What else?
This was the real kicker. If a Meccan converted to Islam and fled to Medina seeking refuge with the Muslims,
Yes.
the Muslims had to return that person to the Meccans.
They had to send new converts back.
Yes, but if a Muslim from Medina renounced Islam and fled to Mecca,
Let me guess.
The Meccans would not have to return them. It was completely one-sided on that front.
Goodness. I can see why the companions would be upset.
Oh, they were deeply disappointed. More than disappointed, distraught. It felt like a defeat without a fight.
They must have questioned why they agreed to this, especially after the prophet's dream.
Exactly. They were asking, didn't you see us entering the Kaaba in your dream? How can this be right? It seemed like a direct contradiction.
So they turned back towards Medina, feeling defeated.
Troubled, worried, yes. And it's on that journey back, in that state of mind, that an entire chapter of the Quran is revealed, Surah Al-Fath.
Al-Fath means?
The victory.
So the revelation called this apparent defeat a victory.
Precisely. It addressed their doubts directly. One key verse says, "Indeed, Allah will fulfill his messenger's vision in all truth," confirming the dream will happen.
Okay.
God willing, you will surely enter Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the Kaaba, in security, some with heads shaved and others with hair shortened without fear.
So reaffirming the dream, but adding insecurity and without fear.
Exactly. And then it says, "He knew what you did not know, so he first granted you the triumphant hand."
The triumphant hand, meaning the treaty itself.
Yes. That verse contains two massive prophecies, really. First, the promise they would enter Mecca safely and without fear.
Which, given the treaty, seemed impossible unless something drastic changed.
Right. It would likely require either mass conversions in Mecca, making it friendly, or, well, a conquest.
And what actually happened?
Amazingly, just 2 years later, both things essentially happened. Mecca was entered by the Muslims.
Is there a big battle?
No, that's the incredible part. It was conquered peacefully, without war, and the Muslims performed their Umrah exactly as described in security, without fear.
So the first part of that prophecy was fulfilled remarkably quickly and peacefully.
Yes. And the second part, he knew what you did not know, so he first granted you the triumph at hand.
The treaty being the triumph. How? It seems so disadvantageous.
This is where the sources explain the hidden wisdom. Because the treaty established peace, no more active warfare between Mecca and Medina.
Okay.
It changed the dynamic. The Meccans stopped seeing the Muslims purely as enemies to be fought. They could actually interact, observe, listen.
So the barrier of active hostility came down.
Exactly. They started looking at Islam, looking at the Quran, hearing about the Prophet, but without hatred, with fairness, without any bias, as the sources put it.
And the effect of that shift.
It was explosive. People in Mecca started converting to Islam in huge numbers.
Really?
More than 4.
Massively more. Historians note this period specifically. Some sources state that the number of people who became Muslims after Hudaybiyah is much greater than the number of Muslims who converted since the beginning of the revelation.
Wait, so more converts in those 2 years after the treaty?
Than in the nearly 20 years of preaching before it.
That's astonishing. So the treaty, which looked like a defeat,
Actually paved the way for the peaceful conversion and eventual opening of Mecca. It was the victory, but not in the way they expected. Mecca was essentially becoming Muslim from within before the physical conquest.
Okay, wow. So that really reframes the whole event.
Completely. It turns the apparent setback into the key strategic victory.
So reflecting on both these stories, we've looked at two really distinct historical situations. One, a prediction of a massive military turnaround for a collapsing empire happening within a tight, specific time frame against all odds.
Right, the Byzantine recovery.
And the second, a treaty that felt like a total loss, a humiliation even,
The Treaty of Hudaibiyah.
which is then revealed to be the actual victory that leads counterintuitively to mass conversions and the peaceful fulfillment of the original goal.
Yes, two very different scenarios, both presented as fulfillments of prior declarations.
It certainly challenges our normal understanding of, well, foresight and how history unfolds, doesn't it? These aren't vague predictions.
Not at all. The sources emphasize the specificity, the time frame, the conditions like without fear, the unexpected nature of the outcomes.
And connecting this back to the bigger picture, what does the source material argue these examples demonstrate?
The core assertion is that these events show the Quran isn't just bound by the time it was revealed. It's presented as evidence of it being a book that is beyond time, and its author being, in their words, the owner of time. That's the claim being made.
What really stands out to you personally about these narratives? I mean, this mind-blowing news about the future. How does it make you think about history and possibility?
Well, it's the sheer improbability asserted in the sources that's striking. The layers of context, the political despair, the military weakness, the social disappointment set against these confident, specific positive predictions. It forces you to grapple with the nature of cause and effect and maybe hidden trajectories in events.
That leads to a really interesting thought for you, our listener, to maybe ponder on.
Yeah, how might understanding stories like these tales of seemingly impossible predictions coming true? If one accepts the premise, how might that influence how you perceive unexpected outcomes in your own life? Or maybe how you look for the hidden benefits, the unforeseen victory, and things that initially feel like setbacks or defeats. It's definitely something to think about.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you've gained some valuable insights. If you're a truth seeker, yearning for divine light and ready to step out of darkness, now is your moment. The truth is that Allah is the one and only creator of the universe. He has sent over 124,000 messengers and prophets to guide humanity, starting with Adam and culminating with the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. If you resonate with this message, you might be ready to embrace Islam. Simply recite the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. For further support, feel free to join our WhatsApp group. You can send us a private message there. The link is in the video description. Don't wait until it's too late. We look forward to connecting with you soon.